I had to spend the morning with the Jets, so that's always that's always full of adventure when you go up there. Never know what's going to happen when you walk into that building, but I'm sure it's very similar in Chicago right now.
Yes, 100%. Go ahead, Carp.
Okay, I'm going to start with Caleb Baldy before we get into the big picture of the Bears. And just in your mind, why do you think the Bears, Caleb, the offense, is having so much trouble starting the game with any level of success?
What do you mean, like when they're down 24-0 last week? So I looked it up. Just I figured this was going to come up. So only the Giants have scored fewer points in the first half this year than the Bears. So it's obviously, so it's a consistent thing. They're averaging 7.5 points in the first half this year. So it seems like nothing ever gets fixed until they go into the locker room, and then you see a little bit of a turnaround. So it makes you wonder why they just can't start like that. Like, what is it? What happens at halftime that all of a sudden, you actually start completing passes? But the big thing, like last week, I think every week it feels like it's a little bit different, different coordinators. And I didn't understand what Shane was doing to start the season, to be honest with you. But, like, they got sacked 4 straight third downs in a row. 4 straight third downs in a row they were sacked and punting, And so if you're not making first downs, if you're not staying on the field, you're not scoring. So it does come down to, like sometimes you don't need to get to third down to get a first down. You make it actually on first down. Well, that doesn't happen very often either. So, like the protection was bad. The blitzes were good. The answer, everybody was in on it. 3rd and 2. I don't know why they're throwing or running, 15-yard routes on 3rd and 2, but they were. So, Caleb's holding the ball and he's getting sacked. It seemed like everybody last week that had their hands in it and why they couldn't stay on the field on 3rd down.
So, I think we were all kind of shocked by it because it seemed like things had been moving in a good direction. But I guess that comes back to good coaching, right? Because once you put things on tape, other teams are going to adjust. Now you're facing a 49ers team last week that was struggling, sure, but they're not playing the Bills anymore in the snow. They're back at home. They're playing the Bears, and it seemed like a good coaching staff. To me, watching the film, Baldy, had answers right away for on both sides of the ball. What Thomas Brown was trying to do with Caleb, and then on the other side, the Bears had a coordinator switch. Sort of the underrated part of firing Matt Eberflus was now Eric Washington's calling the defense, and boy, did they have George Kittle running wide open early and often.
So I do this thing with the 49ers every Tuesday, and the week before against Buffalo, George Kittle caught the first play of the game. He caught a 7-yard pass. Didn't catch another pass the rest of the day. So, like, I was on there, and George didn't use the media to, sound off. They just asked him, so, George, you caught a pass on the first play. Did you catch a pass the rest of the game? He goes, yep. Like he was icy cold, right? So I used to play tight end. Like, I watch tight ends all the time. And I said I could draw up 5 plays to get the tight end the ball against any defense in the league. I'd run a tight end screen. That's the first play they ran. 4th play of the game. I'd run a tight end tunnel screen. They ran that. I'd run, a quick out, against leverage, coming in motion. The same 5 plays I said you could run, they actually called all 5. It's not that hard. Same thing you could do the same thing with Cole if you wanted to. You just have to do it. You have to say, okay, we're going to put aside all the fancy things we want to do in offense, pre-snap motion, shifting, all this stuff. Like, let's just draw up some basic plays. I feel like they were doing that a little bit with DJ a couple weeks ago. They put him in the backfield. They threw hitches to him. I just feel like sometimes you got to get the ball in your playmakers. We saw it from Jamar Chase on Monday night. Like, the first play of the game is in the backfield, and they just threw a hitch to him. The first run of the game, they ran a fly sweep to him. They just said to the Cowboys and to Jamar, we're going to put the ball in your hands today. And I just think sometimes all this stuff is over. Like, it makes it too complicated. It shouldn't really be that hard sometimes.
Go ahead.
So would you say the Bears made a mistake in putting Thomas Brown down on the sidelines with the momentum they had on offense the last 3 weeks? Because, we were, on this program, a big advocate of seeing the audition of what he could do down there. Yeah. But now, what do you think in that regard?
Well, it's a change, but it's not like guys haven't called plays from being upstairs and come down the field. I mean, that stuff happens throughout a season sometimes, but not when you all of a sudden have all this other responsibility and you got to be down there. I do think it takes away from your focus of calling plays. When you're upstairs, you got all your spreadsheets out there. You're like an accountant up there. You got all your spreadsheets out there. You see the leverage that whether the safeties or corners are playing with. You see the personnel before anybody else sees it coming on the field. You kind of have a head start. In Philadelphia, Vic Fangio calls his defense from upstairs. Like, it's not, some guys just get a better perspective. If you're down there in the field and now you're trying to figure out, I don't know what Eric Washington was doing, honestly. I don't know the defense knew what they were doing last week. So now you look at the defense. Now you're trying to call plays. But the big thing about a coordinator, if you're just doing that job, is as soon as that series ends, good or bad, you're already putting the play sheet together for the next series. And you're already talking to the quarterback, what you like, what you saw, what we didn't use, what was our issue on that last third down blitz. Whatever it is, like you're ahead of it. But if you're now kind of managing the whole game, a lot of that sort of gets diluted and lost. And I'm not saying that happens to Thomas Brown, but obviously they weren't sharp at all in the first half offensively. And you just have to wonder, did that come into play?
So Caleb hasn't thrown an interception, Baldy, since the Bears played in London, which is the last time they won a game. So he got 7 losses in a row, no picks, 255 consecutive throws. Which could be impressive, and I'm not trying to knock on the guy for it because that's ridiculous, but I also throw an interception. It's okay. In fact, there's 4 games to go. Throw a bunch of them. What would you be telling Caleb, or what would you be trying to get out of these final 4 games when you literally are playing for nothing?
Well, my favorite player, maybe in the history of this game, is your biggest nemesis, was Brett Favre. He has the all-time interception leader. And I remember one playoff game, he threw 5. And he was like, I'm trying to win the game. I don't care about the interception. I'm trying to win the game. And they lost the game, whatever. But honestly, I could go through the history of quarterbacks in this league, whether it's Alex Smith or Donovan McNabb. They didn't want to throw interceptions, and they never won anything. They won a lot of games. They were good quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes never worries about throwing interceptions. It's water off his back. He's trying to win. And Josh Allen has done the same thing. You have to be aggressive in this league. They're having big controversy in Philadelphia because Jalen Hurts isn't getting the ball down the field to wide receivers. Well, he doesn't want to throw interceptions. So he's not throwing interceptions, and they're winning games, which is good. And they have a formula, which is good. But quarterbacks have to be aggressive, and you got to let the ball fly. If you're not getting explosive plays in your offense, you're not scoring a lot of points. You're just not. You got to take your shots. And sometimes that leads to interceptions, tip balls, jump balls. Sam Darnold threw some unbelievable throws last week, but he was taking shots, and his receivers came down with it. You have to take your shots. All the rules are made for it, and if you're not getting explosive plays, especially in the passing game, you're probably not scoring in the high 20s or 30s.
Baldy, I want to ask you a couple kind of around the NFL questions.
Yeah.
One of these, and literally just more information coming out right now, is our show was starting, and it seemed like Bill Belichick was getting closer and closer to actually taking this job with North Carolina. Schefter just saying, literally just tweeted this. Sources tell ESPN there are still issues that both sides need to work through before it becomes official. It does seem like a more real thing, though, by the hour. What is your reaction just to Bill Belichick not taking one of these open NFL jobs and apparently going to the college game?
Well, he's right down the second floor here. I could go down and ask him, I guess. But I think,
Would you go ask him,
every
please?
college now basically has a general manager. Basically, have a general manager. They're going to handle all the NIL stuff. He's going to recruit these kids and say, if you want to play the next level, these are the things that you need to do. These are the practice habits. These are the traits. This is the skills the league is looking for. I think he could do a great job, working with those type of kids like Nick did at Alabama. And he got them in the door and saying, okay, you want to play at the next level, I can get you ready, but this is what you need to do. Weight room, focus, preparation. I think he could be pretty good like that. And Mac Brown just stepped away. He did a great job at North Carolina. It would make me happy being a Duke guy if Bill Belichick is coaching 9 miles away in Chapel Hill. We'll probably never beat him again, but I can see him making a play for this. Because honestly, he doesn't have to worry about free agency and draft and all that stuff. His name is going to draw a great deal of attention. They'll have somebody handling all the finances and all the stuff you got to do these college kids. I don't know. I guess the hard part would be if a kid isn't starting and he walks into his office and says, "Coach, I'm going to go to South Carolina next year. They got an opening for me." I don't know how he's going to handle some of that stuff because that's not going to play well with him.
So they reported yesterday that Bill Belichick has a Bible that he's given to UNC and has some for NFL teams too.
How many pages is that? I heard it was like.
Well, that's what I want to know. Do you have access to this Bible? And I know you see Bill. Could you get a copy and send one to us so we could understand football on a higher level here in Chicago?
Oh man, I would love to get my hands on that thing. That's one book that I would read cover to cover. Like I can't say I'm reading a whole lot of books cover to cover right now, but if I got my hands on that, I would definitely go page by page on that one.
Yeah, but hold on. Look, you're North Carolina. Here's a dude showing up here with a 400-page Bible. I don't know. I know it's Bill Belichick, but like that seems like not the most easy partnership to step into. And the other part, Baldy, he is going to set the record for the most wins in NFL history. He's going to pass Don Shula. I know Andy Reid might pass him down the line here, but like, is he doing this because he doesn't think he's going to get an NFL job, or the NFL jobs suck? Go ahead.
I would imagine. Look, what if he took that Atlanta job last year and Kirk Cousins was playing like he's playing right now? Like, would he bench Kirk to play the rookie? Like, all those decisions were made beyond him. So I don't know how he would be handling that in Atlanta when I just saw Atlanta. The Chargers were there in Atlanta 2 weeks ago. He threw 4 interceptions, a pick 6. They lost because of them, and nobody was in the stands. So now you got to listen to Arthur Blank. Now, I don't know. That'd been, but maybe they're not in that situation if he's coaching. Maybe Kirk is playing a different style of football, but who knows? But maybe it's a leverage play. I don't pretend to understand. I know Gronkowski and Brady and all those guys were on Fox on Sunday, and they all just shot the thing down that he would go to North Carolina. But I think there's an attraction there. Like he was on the sideline at LSU a couple weeks ago. Like I think there's an attraction there. Like there's juice in those stands on Sundays or Saturdays. And I think getting kids ready for the next level, I think there's some challenges there that he would like. But I think part of it is I don't know if he thinks he's going to get opportunities in Jacksonville or Chicago or, or some of these Jets or Giants or some of these places that are going to be open.
Which is crazy to me, but regardless, I'll give it up. But now you're starting to hear Mike Vrabel's name really start to heat up. Yesterday we had Jeremy Fowler on, and that was the first person he cited as somebody the Bears might be interested in. You've heard multiple reports from, all the guys, Ian Rappaport, Albert Breer.
I like Mike. I like his game day style, though. Like, I want to coach. Like, you watch some coaches, they look like they're completely detached from the game. They're just standing there. They're not doing a lot. They're not even talking into their headset. Like, if you watch Mike, obviously Tomlin is Mike Tomlin, but, I want a coach that's engaged. And you watch Mike Vrabel coach. If a player makes a boneheaded play out there on the field, he's going to deal with Mike right away and fix it. Like, you're not, just the way Tomlin does. Like, I like his style. He's very, very involved in the game. Like, he's right there on top of everything. And it looks like what coaches should be doing. He's not just in the hands of all of his coordinators calling the plays and that stuff. Like, he's heavily, heavily involved in every decision, and he's animated and you can see it. I like his intensity. His offensive line completely fell apart at the end in Tennessee, but he had a good formula there. They were the number 1 seed just 3 years ago. They did lose to Cincinnati in the playoff game. They didn't have great success there. But I believe Mike Vrabel, second time around, will be even better than he was the first time.
His first comment when he got the Tennessee job, just for a record, like on his press conference, we want to build a culture around winning, competitiveness, and toughness. Everything we do is going to be geared towards winning and being physical. We want to prepare our players so they know what to do, which will allow them to play fast and aggressive. I mean, that sells in Chicago. I know, probably in any football city, but it certainly sells here. So just to underline what you're saying, Baldy.
Well, they were the number one defense in football when they were the number one seed. Jeffrey Simmons, like that was nobody wanted to deal with those guys. Autry, Simmons, Landry, like Dupree, like they were the best. They made life miserable for Patrick Mahomes. Like I saw a game where like I think he completed 9 passes against him one time. Like he was running for his life all day. Like they were exactly what Mike described his team to be. That's how they played.
This just came across my timeline, and he seemed like the perfect person to ask about it and get the reaction. But we got the owners' meetings going on right now, I think in Dallas. I guess Troy Vincent just came out and said the league will look into outlawing the low block, saying, quote, every block should be above the knee but below the neck. This is the right time to remove the low block out of the game. Boy, the league has changed a lot since you played. I'm just curious. I mean, but some of it's for the better. Some of it might be for the worse, depending on how you look at it. I'm just curious what your reaction is to hearing that.
Well, I mean, I don't know what tight ends are going to do. You know, that basically seal the backside of all these inside runs, and they all cut the defensive end or outside linebacker every time. I mean, you remember the play 2 years ago. Kayvon Thibodeau was a rookie. They hit his knee and missed like the first 6 weeks of the season or something. Like, my answer to that is to Troy is, well, be a good athlete and protect yourself. You know, cut blocks are a part of the game. They've always been. We first practice in Dallas every year was practicing cut blocks on screenplays for Dorsett. You know, I mean, I don't know, like be a better athlete and protect yourself. You know, stay on your feet. So I don't know, like I think you can outlaw a lot of this stuff. You can try to legislate it, but what's the game become if you can't do some of those things?
Yeah, it's interesting. All right, you guys got anything else for Baldy this week?
I mean, let me just ask this question one more time. If you're the Bears, you got 4 games left. You're Thomas Brown. Embarrassing week 1. What are you trying to get out of Minnesota coming up Monday night? Like what? How do you move this forward here right now, Baldy, that you can get some value out of the rest of the season?
Well, Sam Darnold was just the NFC Player of the Week last week. He was practically. I did a game against Lamb. He was practically perfect. 5 touchdown passes, nearly a perfect quarterback rating. They lead the league in takeaways, lead the league in interceptions. I'm sorry. Like, go out there and play a mistake-free game and go beat a good team. Like, that team is under the radar, but they think they can still catch Detroit. They still play them. Like, go knock them out. Like, go beat a good team and tell everybody in that locker room at the end of the game, yes, I know they had the field goal blocked at the end a couple weeks ago, but go beat a good team and go in the locker room and feel good about yourself. It's a holiday season. Everybody wants to be in a good holiday spirit. Go beat a good team and put yourself in a holiday spirit. Like, go knock the living hell out of that team. Like, you can run the ball against the Vikings. I just saw the Cardinals run it against them. I just saw the Falcons run it against them. Go run the ball at them. That's how you stop Brian Flores from blitzing you. Like, do something good out there. Go make yourself feel good.
Well, I mean, we'll let you go here, but it just bugged me watching that game and seeing how the Niners went down on the first drive, and it felt like they gave up as soon as that drive happened to them as a team. And then you're seeing them doing these different celebrations at the end of the game in the fourth quarter, down 30. And I just ask, like, where is the pride? And it just feels like these guys aren't playing with any sense of pride. And so I worry about guys on this team that have, I think, high leadership qualities and abilities, but they are on a team that's crumbling, you know, in every facet, you know, with the head coach getting fired. And so I worry going forward that these guys are going to kind of fall off of what kind of leaders they could have been because they're in a culture that's so toxic.
I agree with all that, but if I was any one of those 5 offensive linemen that are playing, like literally they're playing, every one of those guys, including Darnell Wright, they're playing for a job next year because none of them could be there next year. None of them. And Braxton, Tevin, you name it. Like they're all, to me, they're all on notice. Like if I was any one of those guys, Matt Pryor, like I would be literally playing for my NFL career. Like I'd want to put the best game I've played all year on tape this week and next week and the week after. And to your point, they didn't look very enthused out there in San Francisco. And the body language did stink. And it didn't look like when they missed tackles like it was that big. I mean, Isaac Guerrero is a good back. But it's his first NFL start. Like, I didn't see anybody smack him. Nothing. Like, he's catching these screen passes and I don't know. Like, that's not exactly what I would want to do to a rookie. Like, he didn't put the ball on the ground. He didn't do anything. He looked like a great San Francisco 49er back. That was disappointing to me as a Bear. Like, as a guy that watches the Bears every week, I'm like, this kid's making his first NFL start. How about welcoming him to the NFL? He doesn't know what it's about. Like, he's just been a backup player all year. And I didn't see anybody smack him. Not once. So that was disappointing to me.
Baldy, on the other side of the ball, our reporter, Nicholas Moriano, who was at the game and after the locker room, he tells us afterwards on our postgame show, they asked Braxton Jones, the left tackle, about the slow starts. And his response was basically like, I don't know. I'm just the offensive lineman. Like, I don't know. And that bothered me because I don't know. The football I know, the offensive line sets the tone. Like, come out of the gates, knocking people over.
Braxton Jones, first of all, Yetur Gross-Matos got a hat trick last Sunday against him. He beat him on back-to-back sacks. Like, first of all, I wouldn't talk to anybody if I just gave back-to-back. That kid was in Yetur Gross-Matos. You didn't even know he had played all year. He did nothing in any game. It's the first game he showed up in. Like, I didn't even know why he was. Like, honestly, he was a free agent signing. I thought, okay, he's a backup swing guy with Bosa and Leonard Floyd, whatever. But, like, if you give up a hat trick, like, you shouldn't be talking to anybody. Like, you should just be in your locker room with a towel over your head and get the hell out of there.
All right. Well, Baldy, appreciate your time.
Sounds like Baldy thinks the Bears need a left tackle.
I think they need a left tackle.
Yeah, I think that would help a lot. Baldy, hope you have a great weekend, and appreciate you as always. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, man. I'll talk to you. You bet.
We all silly like the mayor.